because today they shut out a team. So they've had 12 shutouts this year, which for a team that doesn't have many guys throwing hard in the 80, that's pretty impressive. It has a lot to do with how good their defense is. Lucas Farner and Jace Davis play the middle really well. Jace Davis hits really well. Cam Thorning hits really well. It's a really good team. 23, Midland Dow, they're 19-3. Again, a lot of good wins for them. Liked Dow in the preseason, heard a lot about Dow in the preseason, wanted to see how things went for them at 19-3, pretty undeniable. 22, Stevensville Lakeshore, 16-5, but getting hot at the right time. A team that is perennially good. They've been in the Super 25 before. They've been like a top 10 team before a couple of years back, and this is a team that I think has the capability to make a run in the state tournament. And then 21, Livonia Franklin. Franklin jumps a little bit here. They're the only team in this group that was not ranked last week. They jumped from 20, I think they were 24, and now they're jumped to 21. Yeah, they went up 3. They're just playing really well. Continue to play good baseball. Continue to be good teams. They schedule tough, and they win tough games.
All right, let's put that back up here on the screen. Definitely some good ones here. Guys, anyone out there that's competed or has any thoughts on our 5 on the screen here?
No, sir.
I mean, we played Lakeland earlier in the year. They didn't throw their guy, so we don't really have a good say on them, but they hit okay, I'd say.
Yeah, they hit the ball really well for sure. They're a competitive team.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that'll take us right on in already into our top 15. Look at us already cruising along here. So we will go 15-11.
Whoa. 20-16.
20-16. Look at that. It was out of order.
That felt too fast.
There it is. All right.
20 through 16. Sorry. It's almost bedtime. 20, Anchor Bay. 19, Novi. 18, Standish Sterling. 17, West Bloomfield. And 16, Dexter.
Yeah, not a lot of change here. Anchor Bay jumps a couple, Novi jumps a couple, and Standish jumps 1. Really just as a byproduct of some other teams dropping out. There is one team from this group last week who jumps into the top 15 that we'll see in just a moment. But Anchor Bay, we know when Fink's on the mound, one of the best arms in the state, one of the best teams in the state when he's on the mound. The lineup is still really good, I think, like at the top especially with Isaiah, a couple others in there. Novi, same ordeal, really good top of the order. When Uli's on the mound, one of the toughest teams to beat in the state. Standish Sterling did finally lose. They were, I believe, undefeated going into last week. Yeah, they're 22-1-1. Their only loss was to Bay City Western, who is, been on the top of our rankings for a long time now, and they lost to them 5-0. But that's Standish's only loss, and I think that's a commendable. I hate losing with morality, but that's kind of what that seems like to me, especially for a team like them, where the only question is can they beat good teams? So they're good there. 17, West Bloomfield, they dropped 1. They swept Farmington and split with Walled Lake Western. Farmington, not a good team. Walled Lake Western, okay. Just fine where they're at. Not a whole lot of change. Nothing drastic happened last week, one way or the other. 16, Dexter, they are 22-7. They swept Bedford, and they beat Heartland in a single. So they went 4-0, even though they dropped 1. They did have a good week. They really only dropped because a certain specific team moved up, which we'll find out in just a moment. But that's pretty much it for 20-16. There's not a whole lot to harp on here. This was mostly just movement by default, essentially. So.
Okay, and then we will go right into 15-11, and then we'll open it up for any thoughts here. You kind of flashed on the screen momentarily. We have at 15, Sterling Heights Stevenson, 14, Detroit Western, 13, New Boston Huron, 12, Brother Rice, and 11, St. Mary's.
I will start by saying that there is a case for Rice and Mary's to both be top 5 teams regardless of record. I still believe that. That is a conversation that is worth having, but at this stage, there's too many losses for both to move them into that category quite yet. I'll start at the top of this, though. Sterling Heights Stevenson, they bounced back in a big way after getting knocked around by Dakota, I believe, the week before. But they're 19-5 overall. They went 5-0 last week. They swept Utica Ford and Stony Creek, so a pretty good week for them. They don't move a whole lot. They just drop one because Detroit Western jumped 11 spots. I mean, they had a really impressive week. We know how tough a schedule they play. We talked about that in a prior episode. But they swept Dakota, took 2 from Dakota, and then beat 2 PSL teams. So they went 4-0. And sweeping Dakota is very impressive. So we moved them up because of it. They are 18-6-2 overall, and those 6 losses are to really high quality teams. 13 New Boston Huron. They're going to drop a bit. 1-2, lost to a low, like a not a good airport team, not the airport team we're used to like seeing in the state. Lost to them and then split with Woodhaven. They're 19-4 overall now. I know their coach has been out the last couple games because there's some personal stuff with family going on, and so I don't know if that might have like thrown a rift into things. Anytime you lose your coach out of nowhere with no plans for it, that can be tough. That could have been why they lost a specific game. I'm not sure. I'm just floating it out there that I still think this is a top 10 team at their best. I think they have the arms in the lineup to compete with anybody, especially in Division Two. They are 19-4 overall. Rice 17-11. They went 4-0 last week, swept Detroit Catholic Central and swept Toledo Central Catholic. And then Mary's 17-10 overall. They split with U of D and St. John's, but beat Adams in a single. So, again, in a playoff format, hard to argue what Mary's and Rice bring to the table, especially Rice with the top 2 arms that they have. But with the resume combined with the power ranking, it's hard to like insert them in the top 10 just yet, even though I do think on paper they're probably absolutely 2 of the 10 most talented teams in the state. So.
All right, guys. Well, saw our 11 through 20, lots of teams I know a lot of you guys have competed against. What can you guys tell us about some of these schools?
I'd say for Mary's, I
We
mean,
played.
go ahead, Seymour.
Well, we played obviously Mary's this past week. We played Rice earlier in the season, and we saw both their arms, and they're obviously really good. And then top to bottom, their lineup, they have a lot of bats, a couple freshmen too. They've been doing well, so they're obviously going to be a tough team in the playoffs. And then, Rano, if you want to talk about Mary's.
Yeah, Mary's, I mean, really good team. We didn't play our best game, I think, in the field. We had like 2 earned runs that game, so it should have been a closer game, but we get another crack at them this Wednesday.
Dan, you guys obviously played Anchor Bay. Besides the names that everyone knows, is there anyone else that really kind of might have stood out that you saw there?
Yeah, the center fielder, Zach Kruper. He's a little lefty who's a 2028. Honestly, the first game and a half, I didn't realize he was a freshman until I looked into it a little further. But he's, not physically imposing right now, but he's a prototypical leadoff hitter, center fielder that is really going to be an impact guy going forward. He'll be exciting to watch, and they're still winning game even when Finkbeiner's not on the mound. They're still winning all their games. They're going toe to toe with us in the MAC. They beat us 2 out of 3. But they did lose one other game, so we're both 11-2 right now in the MAC, and they're not backing down at all. They swept a good Utica team. They beat St. Clair today, so they've won a lot of games, obviously without the big dog on the mound, and it'll be interesting, when they have a district where they have to play 2 teams, regional where they have to play 2 teams. I think they're going to still acquit themselves very well, even in the game that Finkbeiner's not pitching.
All right. Well, that'll take us into our top 10. I guess we haven't seen either of your guys' schools appear yet, have we?
No, sir.
Yeah, not. All right. Let's see what we got. We'll go right on into our 10 through 6. We have Spring Lake coming in at 10, holding steady. Byron Center jumps up 8 spots up to 9. Grosse Pointe South down to 8. Jenison coming in at 7 and Hudsonville at 6, both of those without any changes.
Yeah, we'll start with Spring Lake. They stay where they're at, but I mean, they're 22-2. They're having a really good year. They swept Zeeland West, beat Orchard View and Grant. It's one of those things where it's like the teams they beat this week weren't quite to what these teams in front of them have beat in the last week, in my opinion. You can't be a victim of your own schedule, but you're 22-2, so you're a very good team. You're a top 10 team. I'm just not ready to vault you up to top 5. Byron Center, they're at 9. Huge leap. They're 21-3. they swept Reese Puffer, but really the one that jumped off the page to me was they swept Celine. And you know, the scout on Byron Center is they have some really good arms at the top, but the fact that they can go, 5-0 in a big week, including a sweep of Celine, who was a top 25 team last week, speaks volumes, in my opinion, whenever those West Side teams square up with an East Side team and handle business. 8, True Gross Point South, down 5 in a 4-1 week doesn't really add up, right? It's the problem is Hudsonville went 6-0, Jenison went 7-0, a team ahead of them went 5-0. It's just one of those things where South swept Lance Cruz North and beat Mount Pleasant, but lost Notre Dame Prep. Of those 3 opponents, Notre Dame Prep's probably the best one, and they lost to them. So, and granted, that's like the 5th game of the week, so it's not a direct relation to what they're capable of at their best or with one of their rotation guys in the mound. I'll let Dan shed some light on that. But this isn't really like a punishment drop. It's mostly just a by default because others had to jump up drop. So, which I've already explained to Dan off camera. So I will let you shed some light, Dan.
I'm not upset at all.
I'm overcompensating right now. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's quite all right. Notre Dame Prep, we lost the second game. It's not truly a doubleheader because we played 2 different teams. Mount Pleasant High came into town and played us in Grosse Pointe North, and then Notre Dame Prep played North first and then came over to play us. But they're a good team. I mean, they're a really good team. They're going to certainly contend in their division to win the state championship. We had not a league rotation guy on the mound, obviously, but it's I would say our number 5 starter was on the mound, so a good arm that they handled, and you're not going to win every game. We lost to a good team; it's not the end of the world. I would say that probably contributing to that drop more than that one is just we did lose 2 out of 3 to Anchor Bay a couple weeks ago, and we lost substantially to Rochester Adams 2 Saturdays ago, which obviously we realize now that they're in the top 5 and they should be, and they have a chance to contend for the state championship. Also, they're a very relentless lineup, and they pound the ball 1 through 9, and they have as good a chance to win Division I as anybody does. But I would say we're right where we probably should be, in the top 10, and our 5 losses were to good teams. It's not any losses in there that I would be embarrassed about, but we've lost 5 games. So I think that's where we should be.
Agreed.
All right. Let's go right on into our top 5. I think we have an idea of where some of these are going to be coming on in. Griff, you guys think you guys will make an appearance?
I didn't hear what you said right there.
The Craniacs going to make the top 5.
There is our answer.
Now that it's on the screen. Whoa. The Craniacs, don't sleep on them. Okay.
Coming in at 5, we have Forest Hills Eastern holding steady. 4, Macomb, Dakota. They're down 2 spots. Rochester Adams out of this group is the biggest jump, up 6 spots here. And number 2, we have De La Salle up 2 spots. And holding steady, they've held steady this whole season, Bay City Western.
Yeah, we'll start at Forest Hills Eastern. There was a case to make Forest Hills Eastern number 2 or 3. I just don't love the schedule, but they are 23-1. They swept GRCC and then played 2 of the Traverse City directional schools. I think it was West and Central, and ran through them. So they did go 5-0 on the week. They are 23-1. They got to be one of the 5 best teams in the state at this point. I don't know if they're the 3rd. And again, I want to point out, I say this every week, but it's very interchangeable in the top 10. It's especially interchangeable in the top 5. A lot of these teams have a case to be number 1. A lot of these teams have a case to be number 7. I don't know. But somebody's got to do it. At number 4, Dakota. Again, Dakota 21-6, swept Ike, but lost to Detroit Western. So got to drop a bit. But they've had so many impressive wins and impressive series that it's really hard to knock them too far for that, especially on a weekend. Number 3, Rochester Adams. Big jump for them. They're 21-5 overall. They beat a really good Bloomfield team. They beat Bay City Western, and the only loss was to a really good St. Mary's team. And I want to reiterate, I value really good wins and really good losses more than beating up on teams that we've never had ranked, essentially. Which again, you can't. It's hard to be a victim of your own schedule in some ways. So I understand that. I just think Adams has put together a really impressive number of wins over opponents that we have highly rated, and spanning multiple leagues, and they're playing high competition every week, no matter what, which is Par for the course for them. I think they do this every year. This year they're just coming out on top quite a bit more than they're not at 21-5. De La Salle 20-5, swept St. John's. Which, guys, I'm about as clueless about the Ohio teams as you are, so I'm just going to say what their names is, and I'll do more studying on how good they are next year, I promise. Swept St. John's, split with St. Francis de La Salle, beat Divine Child and mercied Country Day. They went 5-1 last week. The only loss was that split with St. Francis de La Salle. They're 20-5 overall. Every team they've played is good. I think that what they do is really sustainable, and I like the way they play the game. Obviously, it's a Samini team. They're playing a Samini style. Hard to argue that, especially given what the schedule is. And then at the top, Bay City Western, who did not have a great record last week of 4-2. They are 22-4 overall, but they split with Grand Blanc, and I really value Grand Blanc right now. If you go look at all of Grand Blanc's series, seldom are they getting swept. They beat Standing Stirlish, who was 22-0 when they faced them, and the only loss was in Game 2 to Adams on Saturday. I will send this over. I think it's proper to send this over to the Adams guys, given where they're at in the rankings and Bay City being in here, who they played as well.
Yeah, for Bay City, I'd say we didn't see we saw there too. We didn't see LaCourse pitch the first game, but again, the kid was he had a great arm. But I think we put enough pressure on their defense, being able to run bags, bunts, get the little things down, and just being able to hit. I mean, it's kind of the big part, and our pitching was phenomenal that game as well.
Yeah, there was heavy winds too. It probably played a factor in the game, but again, like a lot of these teams, they have a really good lineup top to bottom. They have a lot of bats. They could definitely swing it. So,
I have a question for the Adams fellas. Because I haven't really studied it too close, to be honest. But how do you guys see the postseason playing out for you? What do you start with in the district? I assume Rochester and Stony Creek are in there, and then who's the challenge at the regional level?
yeah, we drew the pre-district, so we have to play Stony to get to the Saturday, and then it's Rochester, Lake Orion, and Eisenhower.
Okay.
In the districts. And I think regionals, we play the winner of the Romeo district, I want to say, right?
Romeo and Anchor Bay.
Romeo and Anchor
Either
Bay.
or.
Yeah.
And then Flushing or Grand Blanc.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at some exciting matchups there potentially. A potential Anchor Bay and Adams would be interesting. Especially if Fink Biner's on the mound. But that's what we live for this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the whole backstory of this whole pre-district thing?
There is no backstory.
I mean,
there's districts with five. There's districts with 5 teams. You're not going to be able. The amount of teams.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that part, but I'm like, how in the world do these Because in my opinion, I think it should be whoever's the worst district should be playing in the pre-district game.
Whoever
wins it all. That just goes to the whole thing of why aren't we all doing rankings? Why aren't they ranked out?
Right.
And it's randomized too. Like last year, us and Stony got the pre-district, and we both got it again this year. So
yeah, it's literally just a look.
And keep in mind too, they're seeding this in several other sports. Basketball seeds at the district level, football seeds at a regional level. So it's not unprecedented.
No.
Right.
Absolutely floors me. But Cam, I want you to go ahead and talk about Forest Hills Eastern, man. What have you guys been working on kind of this off season, going into the season? What's been clicking for you guys?
Oh yeah, so last year obviously we had that loss in district, and I think it killed a lot of our guys because we had higher expectations for our squad. So we had a ton of really good players then, and this off season they just grinded. And we saw really really good baseball players become even better players than they were the year before. So in our motto as a program is VBED, so get better every day. And we got a ton of guys that almost live by that and just work out and train and get better every single day. So it's a lot of success we see comes from just playing as a team and working together and grinding out wins.
How many web gems from B-Tom so far?
Oh gosh, too many to count.
Yeah.
He's so good back there, over there. I mean,
he's got to be. I don't know if there's a shortstop. There might be shortstops just as good, but I don't think any of them are better. We had the chance to see him in Omaha last year for Team Michigan, and he was just the amount of plays he made. There was just lights out.
Yeah, it's awesome. Ball gets to that side of the infield, you're like, you got a guy. It's great feeling.
It's always nice when you have a guy where when it's hit to them, that's an out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Not like my career at third base, but we don't have to go into that.
I mean, we can always just call up Samini again and see what he has to say about you.
Why do we always have to go here every single week?
You brought it upon yourself.
Yeah,
but how every time by yourself?
Oh my god! Oh, I can't stand any of you.
Awesome. Right. Well, this is just a perfect time to talk about our social medias once again, right, Griff?
Oh yeah.
If you're not already, again, following us wherever you're at, to the 450 plus that are now tuning in, be sure to do just that. We really appreciate everything that everyone is tuning in and listening to us tonight. The rankings will be live tomorrow on social media. Be sure to check that out in the morning. If you think we're wrong, let us know. If you think we may have missed something, let us know, and feel free to @Brandon Justice. He loves it.
All right. That is not what I want.
I mean, you can add me. You can add me, and I'll eat up. I'll eat it up. Oh, there it is.
All right, dude. That's crazy. I'm on the cell phone. Like, you got to stop.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate all you guys coming on in. I know it's late on a Monday. Best of luck the rest of this week. Anything anyone else wants to say before we send everyone off tonight?
No, I think you covered it all.
I think we should. We should read some of the comments in the early.
We should. That'll be. I do want to apologize to anyone that was tuning in on YouTube. I personally forgot to hit the start button. So if you were watching us on YouTube, I do apologize. You saw. I think you missed our 20 through 25. And are also considered. So you'll see that tomorrow on our rankings. Everyone else?
Wait, so those people missed. Those people all missed Brandon going in and out. That was
they did. They did. So they missed the best part.
Probably a good thing.
We will figure out a way next week because we're always learning here. We'll figure out a way to we can do some listener questions. We'll have a listener Q&A that will have Griff answer all your questions. We'll call it Griff's question segment. Sponsored by Blackstone, potentially.
No free shout-outs.
No free shout-outs. If you're a business owner that wants to come on and sponsor us, feel free to reach out to any of us. Love to talk to you. Other than that, Dan, Brandon, Griff, anything you guys want to say before we close this out here?
To anyone who's a true OG of the Cold Weather Bats, Acuna the cat is putting on a damn show right now. So I apologize. I have to address this. That's about all I got going on right now. I'm yelling at a cat on mute.
That's just
again. If you're an OG, you understand. If you're not, then this is probably like, why is this guy talking about a cat? But if you're an OG, then you're like, oh, it's cool. Acuna's still alive. Awesome. He ran away season 1. If anyone remembers.
I can't wait until
figure it out and change layouts.
I can't wait until Brandon has a child. That's what I'm waiting for.
Hey, let's not put that voodoo in the air. All right, let's not put that sort of energy out there. I do not want a kid at all for the next at least 5 years.
Griff, that zoom in on me. That's gonna be leading the TikTok.
First of all, don't put this on. Don't put this on me. That's all Rube in the background right there. Okay, listen, Dan just wants. Oh, look at that! Look at that!
There you go.
Oh, here we go. This guy loves himself.
Oh, love the camera. Camera loves me. But Dan, dude, all I gotta say is, man, we gotta fix the hat.
All right, I'll try.
All right, you were grilling him over this.
I'll try.
Look, Dan,
dude,
we barely wore the whites this year, so this is also pretty flat.
You didn't. You won without the City Connects today.
Yeah, we won without the City Connects, dude. I cannot believe I bunted bases loaded, nobody out.
Wait, so because you were in and out 100 times, I didn't hear what actually happened on the ball. Did it line back to the pitcher or something?
But not good. Popped in the air to the first baseman. First baseman threw to third threw to second. Nightmare fuel type of stuff. I'm probably gonna have a nightmare tonight. Probably 100%.
Well, not anymore. You won, but it could have been bad.
Could have been bad.
All right. Well, with that said, thank you all for tuning on into the now 475 plus that are with us. Thank you for tuning on in to all of our Rochester Adams and boys coming on and Cam coming on. Appreciate you guys coming on to tonight's
Come on,
show.
words are hard.
Thanks for having
Words
us.
are hard.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Words are hard. I appreciate it.
Cam, you gotta tell BT I said hello.
Will do. Absolutely will do.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
thank you for having me.
And with that said, we will see you all next week for our next Super 25 Roundtable. Have a good night.
Have a good
You
one.
guys.